Hey guys, it's Scott with Scottie B Cards, and in this video I want to talk all about Mike Trout and what's going to happen with his cards. It's been said, they claim it was Albert Einstein, but insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, and that's how it feels with Mike Trout every year. Every year we hope Mike Trout's going to stay healthy, and every year he just gets hurt again. And that's what I want to talk about in this video is how has this impacted his legacy? Has it impacted him enough where his cards won't retain the same amount of value? What's happening to the value of his cards? Could he be passed by other modern players? And so forth. So let's jump into this. The very first thing I want to say, Mike Trout, fantastic baseball player. I feel really bad for him and for Angels fans and for Mike Trout collectors. I used to have a lot of Mike Trout cards, but the last few years with the injury issues, I've actually sold everything but basically one big card of his. And I was going to sell it, but now I'm going to hold on to it with the injury news. But I wanted to say that beforehand because I'm not going to be too apologetic moving forward. The very first thing is here is Mike Trout's major injury history. We can see it started in 2017. He tore his UCL and his thumb on a stolen base. He was out 6 to 8 weeks. It actually turned out to be a little bit longer than that. And then we can see in 2021, Mike Trout leaves with an injury. This was actually after suffering a right calf strain, and that calf strain was just jogging. He was just jogging from second to third on a routine flyout to end the inning. And he was out forever. That was like the calf strain from hell. He missed a ton of time there. Then in 2022, just a year later, he had that weird back thing where everybody was saying that he's not going to be the same player the rest of his career. It was a really concerning back issue. He missed the rest of the season, I believe. And then we had the broken hamite bone, and his broken hamite bone, he came back for like 3 games and then was out the rest of the year. Usually only takes, again, like 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes even faster, and he missed the rest of the season from July 4th forward aside from 2 or 3 games again. And then just lately, now he has a knee injury. He tore his meniscus, and it's interesting. I wonder if Ron Washington allowing Trout to steal led to this because he hadn't stolen many bases, then he stole 5 in the first month, tears his meniscus. It's just unfortunate. It could have been running in the outfield. It could have been anything. It could have been just walking outside of the stadium. He felt it during a game, very minor. It was a very minor tweak in his knee. And then after the game, he said it got really bad. So that's what happened to Mike Trout. He has been an example of someone who's just constantly hurt. Here is his actual baseball reference page. You can see up until 2018 or even 2019, he was pretty durable. He missed some time in 2017 with that thumb issue, but he was pretty much very consistently playing. He had a couple different IL stints in 2018 and 2019, but nothing major. The 2017 was actually his very first time on the IL. But ever since then, I know 2020 was a COVID year, but regardless, in his age 28 season in his prime, he only played 53 games. Next year, only 36 games. He did have 119 games where he put up 40 home runs in 119 games and a 176 OPS plus to finish top 10 MVP voting. And then the last 2 years have been basically lost seasons. Both of them have not been nearly as good to his career norms. He's been in the 850s to 870s OPS, but his OPS plus is still a 131 to 142. So the revisionist history that I'm seeing is that he's never been that good. That's what I'm seeing people say. I want to point out Mike Trout has been incredible, right? 3 times MVP, 11-time All-Star, his 9 Silver Sluggers. All of this is very impressive, but I want to show you what would have happened if he just stayed healthy. So this is 2017, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, and 2024. These are his realized numbers. He had 33 home runs in 2017, 72 RBI, 6.9 WAR. This is assuming if he actually played 145 games. Obviously 2020, I maybe shouldn't have included it, but I did just to give an idea of how much time was lost. So he ended up having in these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, 126 home run, 20.8 WAR. If he could just play 140 to 145 games, we're looking at 251 home runs with 39.6 WAR with those projected stats. So he has been really good when he's played. He's not like Albert Pujols who just kind of stinks and plays a whole bunch. Pujols did that at the Angels. Really bad. Probably, I think, only had like 1 or 2 OPS plus over 100. Mike Trout's good when he plays. He just doesn't play anymore, and that's starting to add up. What's happening to his cards? Let's look at his cards real quick. And honestly, I don't think they've dropped nearly as much as they probably should at right now. And the reason I say that is because what does he have going for him in the hobby? He has, I feel like the all-time status, the GOAT, whatever you want to say, attached to him before. But is that attached to him now? I'm not so sure, especially with the fact that he's always injured. These numbers are amazing. A 173 OPS plus is one of the highest in Major League Baseball history. It literally is, I believe, the highest right-handed hitter outside of the Negro Leagues. But still, he needs to actually continue to play and accumulate stats, and not seeing him in the postseason really does hurt. So you could argue this is still too high. This is his PSA 10 base Topps Update rookie card, it's still been hovering about $1,000. Realistically, could this drop to $750 to $850 in the next 12 months? Yes, I would not be surprised. Heading into next season, there'll still be a Mike Trout bump and everybody's excited he's healthy again, but he's still on the Angels. I know they have some great young players like Logan O'Hoppe, Zach Neto, a couple of different players like that, but regardless, the Angels aren't positioned to be successful these next few years. It feels like he could have played well to be traded this year, but now he's not going to be traded because he's injured. I can't imagine anybody's taking on that contract. That contract's not great, unfortunately, for the Angels. The Angels have 2 bad contracts with him and Rendon, so who knows what will happen. Maybe someone like the Phillies will say, okay, we're going to take it on. You pay 80% or maybe 50% of the contract. We'll take him on. Here's some top prospects. Maybe that's what will happen. But regardless, I can't see too much right now if this injury does take a while, because Mike Trout historically is a slow healer. Look at the hamate bone last year. He always takes longer than projected. If that's the case, I don't know what's going to happen with his cards. But we also can see down here is going to be his BGS 9.5, I believe, Bowman Chrome autograph. It hit as high as basically $25,000 almost, and now it's sitting around $5,000 to $6,000. So it's already dropped quite a bit, and that is more so. That sale was actually 7.9, so still around $8,000. But this is actually pretty much double, triple, quadruple a lot of really popular players. Juan Soto is only like at 1.8 thousand. Mookie Betts is like, what is he, like 1.2 thousand. Aaron Judge even is sub 2,000. So you have to imagine this could have some room to drop even more. Then we look at his refractor BGS 9.5. This card, the high sale looks like it was about $50,000. Now this is going for in a BGS 9.5. The last sale was $12,000. Again, I would not be surprised if this is sub $10,000 in the next few months. And then here is his gold. Well, the first sale was $120,000. The last sale was $47.6 thousand, and that was in October of last year. Again, same concept. This one could be supported a little bit better than the other ones because it's so scarce and it's such an iconic card, and still a very good player who could still get that all-time great status. Who knows if he can get healthy over the next few years and play well. But regardless, there is more room for all of his cards to drop, and that's concerning. So could it be a time to buy? Yes, it could be a time to buy. Could it be a time to sell? I mean, probably not. I'm probably going to hold. Maybe I'll still sell an auction and just hope for the best. But regardless, it's not a great time to try to move his cards. It could end up being a good buying opportunity, but we felt that way the last 3 seasons. Oh, he's hurt. Next season he'll be better. Keeps happening over and over and over. So who knows if it's actually a good buying opportunity. Let's compare him to all-time greats, and then we'll set expectations a little bit. So what you're seeing, this is a WAR graph from Fangraphs. This is actually from Fangraphs. So you can go in and you can enter specific players. It shows their WAR accumulation over the years. And I know people don't like WAR in some cases. I do. I think it's a great stat to show overall value for base running, hitting, and fielding. But we can see Mike Trout is this blue line, Willie Mays is the black line, Hank Aaron is the green line, Mickey Mantle is the yellow line, Pujols is the red, and Griffey is the pink. So Mike Trout, you can see he debuted at 19 like everybody else. Looks like Willie Mays debuted at 17, which is pretty crazy to think about. He didn't really have a big spike till after he came back from WAR the first time, I'm pretty sure. When I think he won MVP one of his first years back, age 23. But regardless, we can see Trout had a huge lead over everybody. Him and Mickey, they had great peaks in their 20s. Up until age 27, Mike Trout was almost at 75 Fangraphs WAR. And then 2020 was his age 20 season with the shortened season, and it leveled off, which makes sense. But then you can see right here, injuries start to happen. He's basically flatlined from his age 26 to his age 32 season. He's only gained from 75 to like about 85. So only gained 10 WAR in those about 5 years. And you're seeing actually a lot of the all-time greats like Mantle, Mays, and Aaron really start to pass. And that number of 150 career WAR that Trout was beating Willie Mays on a pace on due to injury seems unobtainable by a long shot. And Hank Aaron, even at 130, is out of reach. And it feels like even Mickey Mantle, like around 120, 115, might be out of reach. We can see Ken Griffey Jr. is a very good comparable player for Mike Trout, offensively, positionally, hype, a lot of things like that. Ken Griffey Jr. had a little bit more excitement about him, right? He was the kid. Everybody loved him. He had a bit more personality than Trout does in the baseball world. So he had that it factor that was like 90s nostalgia. I don't know if Trout will ever have that. But regardless, Griffey flatlined very similarly. He hit age 30, and Griffey was not good in Cincinnati. He basically gained, I think, 7 WAR from his age 30 to 40 season. That's not good. 7 WAR is what you would like in like 1, maybe 2 seasons. But he did that over 10 seasons. You can see that flatline. And that might be what we're seeing with Trout. He's actually following Pujols' WAR pretty closely. I do think Trout will be above Pujols because Pujols aged horribly even though he played, I think Trout, when he does play, will be good. But regardless, that's where he's at. Let's compare this, right? Through age 27, here is all of these all-time greats. Trout was leading at 71.2 WAR, and we can see the next closest was Mickey Mantle at 67.9. Everybody else was pretty far behind, including Willie Mays, who's at 49.2. Now we're at age 32, and we can see Trout is third last. He's behind Mays, Aaron, and Mantle at this age. Mickey had almost 100 WAR at this age before he got hurt and kind of stopped being who he was. But Trout's basically aligned exactly with Pujols, still ahead of Griffey. I even want to compare him to modern players. I'm not saying Mookie Betts is better than Mike Trout. I'm not saying that, and I know I'm a Mookie Betts fan, and I get that. But I just want to show you, here is Mike Trout versus Mookie Betts since Trout's debut in 2011. He didn't have a full season until 2012, where he was Rookie of the Year, and I think he was runner-up to Miguel Cabrera in the VP race. But regardless, you can see Mookie's catching up a bit. This is actually over on the right side. This one is since 2014, when Mookie actually debuted. So since Mookie debuted, he's actually been more valuable according to a lot of metrics, right? Trout did win 3 MVPs in that time frame, but Mookie has been more consistently healthy. He has been consistently a great Gold Glove defender. On top of that, a very plus baseball bat, like a 140 almost OPS plus. That's really good. So regardless, there's a chance, if Mookie has another 4 WAR in him this season. He's already at 3.1, which is crazy. So it's the first month of the season. So you'd think he has another 4 WAR in him over the next 5 months. That'll put him, at 72 for that this year, and he's still a year younger than Trout. So through Trout's 32 season, assuming he doesn't play the rest of the years, at 86. So if Mookie's at 72 at the end of this year, plus he has a 5 WAR season next year, he's at 77 versus Trout's 86. He's more comparable to Trout than Mickey Mantle or Hank Aaron or Willie Mays. So that's kind of what I point out. He's actually being caught by some modern superstars in some ways. So what's going to happen? Trout's a slow healer. I'm concerned about that, and I'm concerned about his cards due to injury and the fact he's still on the Angels. And I like the Angels. I actually have watched tons of Angels games over the last decade because of Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani. But he might be viewed as a great player. ESPN actually ranked him, it was either them or Bleacher Report, I can't remember, heading into last season as like the 15th best player all time, and that was taking into consideration the fact he is injured sometimes and also has some seasons to keep playing. But he's been projected by a lot of people to be top 10 all time. I don't know if that's going to be the case with his 30s shaping out the way that they have been. He still can have big seasons if he plays. Like, don't be surprised if he has a 40 home run season next year, and that's the risk you're paying for when you're buying his cards even right now. But just know in 2021, 2022, 2023, and now 2024, he's missing months at a time with injury. His cards will rightfully drop, and I think it could be a buying opportunity if you're a Trout fan, or if you think he can stay healthy, or if you think we're overreacting right now, which is completely plausible because I'm making a video about it, and I think we're all concerned. In the grand scheme of things, he's had an amazing career. It's just right now when we thought he would be a top 5 player all time, that's where we might see some disagreement amongst baseball community, and that's where we might see some disagreement in his pricing, and that's why it might drop a little bit with where he's priced in. He has been overshadowed by Ohtani a little bit the last few years. Everybody said Trout was the player of this generation, but Ohtani's now like one of the best players of all time, according to a lot of baseball analysts in regards to MVPs and pitching and hitting. And the Angels just need to move on from him. That's what needs to happen to his cards and for the Angels and for Trout. Start fresh, get a new chapter going, and that's what needs to happen. Trout needs a new market for his cards to move at this point. I don't think they can move a ton in Anaheim, and that's just unfortunate because he's been amazing and loyal and a great player there, but that's where I think we are at with his cards. Let me know in the comments down below if I'm too critical or if you think I'm being too positive, but other than that, I will see you in the next video.